Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be tidying up and customizing this old Hot Wheels Supervan. This is another car very kindly sent to me from Australia by Nathan. These were produced from 1975 until 1985, and I believe this is a 1977 version. They did the same black flame design in 75, but it had the red line wheels. It's a pretty classic old toy that I bet a lot of kids owned. Let's have a closer look at it. It's a pretty worn out old paint job there. Looks like it's seen plenty of playtime. Those wheels aren't too bad. The grille there is pretty grotty. And of course the old flame tampos, they're mostly rubbed off on that side. And underneath there where you can see Hot Wheels and Hong Kong written on it. Let's get it taken apart. It's got outie rivets with little nipples on them, so I'm just going to get it started with a round burr on my rotary tool. And then I can move on to my drill. And with the rivets gone, it pops straight open. Now I'm going to drill and tap these posts. This post in particular is really small, so I'm going to have to be quite careful drilling this out. Now to tack them. Unfortunately, this smaller post here did actually blow the side out a little bit, but it still should be alright. And so with those posts drilled and tapped, I can use some poly stripper to remove the paint. Wasn't hanging on there with very much tenacity. And here it is with the paint washed away. It's not the most detailed casting in the world, but it gets the job done. Now for a clean up with the wire brush on my rotary tool. This will get rid of that thin layer of oxidation that is on it. And here it is after a clean up. It's looking a bit shinier. a little flaw on the side there, but I'm not too worried about that. I am, however, going to do something about this hideous great casting line and the back doors here. I'll just start by taking it down with this sanding wheel. And then I used a straight burr on my Dremel to recut the door panel line. Excuse the blurry focus on this shot. Here it is after dremeling. Now I'm just going to continue tidying it up with this file here, and then I'll finish it with a bit of sandpaper. With that done, I can move on and paint the body of the van. I'm going to start with a undercoat of black primer. I then mixed up a nice metallic brown colour, and the whole van was painted in this. Next, I masked off some angled panels on the sides of the van. These were then painted silver. Then candy orange. And then I painted candy red along the bottom there to give a sunset kind of fade. Now I can remove the masking. This came out pretty well. There are a couple of roughish edges here and there, but it's not going to matter too much as I'm going to be putting some decals over them. I then hit this with a thin layer of clear just to protect it a bit. I then took a photograph of the side of the van and I've designed myself some decals. I've themed it on stuff I like, which is mountains and trees. Now I just need to put these onto the side of the van. And once they were in place, I just had to detail the indicators here. I started by painting them silver, and I finished them with Tamiya transparent orange. Once all this was well dried, I finished it all with some gloss clear. Now I can move on to the base. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of those old wheels. I'll use a cutting disc on my rotary tool to cut the axles. Now I can give it a clean up with my rotary tool. See, there's quite a lot of gunk in that grill there. And here it is after burnishing. It's looking a lot more clean and shiny now and ready for painting. I'll begin with a coat of black primer. I then painted it underneath with a burnt iron colour, and I painted the grille and the rear bumper in chrome, but I then forgot to take a little bit of footage of it. So we'll move on to the interior next. It's looking pretty grubby there, so the first step was to wash it in some hot soapy water. As you can see, it's all one piece of clear smoky plastic, but there's some nice details there on the grille, so I'm going to give it a bit of detailing. The windscreen is a little bit scuffed there, but I've learned from experience that you can't really polish this plastic. I mask off the windscreen section and then I paint the interior with a base coat of black and then add just a little bit of detailing. I can now take the masking off of the windscreen there. As I mentioned before, you can't really polish this plastic, it just goes kind of fuzzy and cloudy. So rather than do that, I just hit it from the front with some gloss clear. This does pretty much the same thing as dipping it in the floor polish stuff that people use, as that's just basically a gloss acrylic medium. And finally, here are the old wheels. They're not actually in bad condition, but I'm still going to replace them with some more realistic ones. And so here are all the parts of our Hot Wheels Supervan, refurbished, repainted and ready to go back together. This was pretty easy as there wasn't that many parts to this model. I just put the wheels on the base there and then the interior and windscreen drop into the body and the base pops back on and I'll screw it in place. And so there is our little van all back together. But before we take a look at the finished article, let's just take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Our worn looking little Hot Wheels Supervan straight from the 70s. Its black paint job has been chipped and worn away all over. The flame tampos are also mostly rubbed away. The interior is fairly grubby and that metal base is oxidized and in need of a spruce up. So let's see what we can do. And here it is, our customized Hot Wheels Supervan. The worn out old black paint job and rubbed off flames have been replaced with a nice metallic brown and some mountain themed graphics. The interiors had a good clean up and been detailed, and the old Hot Wheels wheels have been replaced with some fat new rubber tired ones. Granted, they stick out the sides a little bit, but hey, that's alright. I really like the way this van came out. I did toy around with some louder designs, but at the end of the day I really like this brown and sunset mix. I think it looks quite 70s. You can let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm sure plenty of you owned this as a toy when you were kids, so it's great to hear any memories as well. I'll now welcome my new subscribers and say a big thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. As always, an extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters for helping to support the channel through Patreon. If you'd like to join them, you can check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description down below. You get your name in the credits at the end of the videos and access to some extra content. And finally, an extra special thanks to Nathan for sending me the van to do in the first place. He is my #1 contributor, my only contributor of cars to the channel so far, so I really hope you like the way this came out, buddy. And I really hope everyone enjoyed watching this video. If you did, remember to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends.